Jakks Classic Superstars train keeps rolling on. Jakks Classic Superstars Series 15. Welcome everyone back to the channel, and we are back again with more Jakks Classic Superstars. Hopefully you guys have went back. We're at Series 15 today. We've done 14 series before this, so there's still time to catch up out there. Follow along on social media at SirPaul64 on Twitter, and then on Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson on Instagram. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel as always so you don't miss any of the Jakks Classic Superstars videos. But like I said, today we're here for Classic Superstars Series 15. Another very big set. I don't have a lot of memories about this one. As I talked in Series 13 and 14, I picked up primarily my Jakks Classic Superstars from 13 on via Ringside Collectibles way back in the day, as they were getting harder and harder to find at the store level. We talked before, we kind of had a zenith around Series 5, 6 through 10, 11. They were in pretty much all of the stores. Then it became kind of hit and miss. The Targets, Walmarts, at least for my area, were hit and miss on them. They'd maybe skip a set every once in a while. Toys R Us was pretty consistent, but they weren't getting the vast quantities they did of some of the earlier sets. So that's some of my memories on 15. I'll say as I go through some of these, if I remember them being peg warmers or some kind of seeing these around the stores, but for the most part, here on out, there wasn't a lot of peg warmers left. There was a few instances here and there, but for the most part, there wasn't, because they weren't shipping out the quantities they did in series past. So let's start off Classic Superstars Series 15, and we're going to talk first about Razor Ramon. There's old Razor right there in the purple gear, which I thought was really cool, and kind of a nod to the purple Hasbro, I guess, maybe you would say. Comes with the Intercontinental title. I love everything about this figure except for the head. I always thought there was, I don't know, something amiss with the head a little bit. I love the little curl down there. I don't know if the head was too skinny, but we do see in later Scott Hall figures where the head's too big. I feel like they just missed that in-between point with Scott Hall, Razor Ramon's head. So there you go. It's really cool that you can barely see it. You got to look real close, but he does have the toothpick in his mouth. I don't know if you can really barely see it if you're even squinting at it. It looks like he's just got a yellow tooth. Razor Ramon on the side, of course. Glamour shot. Big glamour shot on the back. Obviously, Razor was a good one and a popular one. Debuted in 1985, 280 pounds, 6'7". Finishing move, the Razor's Edge. Titles, WWE Intercontinental Champion, WCW Tag Team Champion, and WCW United States Champion. Looking at the back, really the only difference between him and his prototype on the back, no chest hair on the prototype. So obviously you can see they did paint on chest hair. Very interesting, as we do know, being Jakks fans, if you're watching this, that occasionally George the Animal Steel, Shawn Michaels, they would put real hair for the chest hair. Not on this one. So pick and choose. I don't know which one I prefer. Probably prefer the paint on. The real chest hair like that Shawn Michaels is pretty weird, but the George the Animal worked. So take that for what you will. But a good figure. One that was probably popular, but I remember this one kind of hanging around the pegs. To whatever degree it was at the time. Not compared to the, George Steele, Nikolai Volkovs of series past, but I did find this one. I remember seeing this one on the pegs back in the day, where some of these I don't remember seeing them on the pegs at all. So there you go. That's the first one, Razor Ramon. All right, we continue with HBK, Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid, and this is a really interesting one. We're going to get into this, but a very good figure here. Look at that entrance gear on him. Love those extra accessories. I think this one always popped. I always remember this one. When I think Jakks Classic Superstars, Shawn Michaels, this is the one that comes to my head first. The entrance grade is really good on this one, as you can see. So there you go. Shawn Michaels on the side, front, picture on the side. Nothing too special on that picture. There he is on the back. As you can see, the prototype is pretty faithful to the design we got. All right, like so. Here's an error right off the back. So Shawn Michaels debuted 1965. You know, the Beatles were sweeping the nation. You know, the Vietnam War was about ready to start up, and that's when Shawn Michaels decided to enter the fray of professional wrestling in 1965, as we all know. Weight 225 pounds, 6'1", finishing moves, the sweet chin music. Titles, WWE Champion, World Heavyweight Champion, 95 and 96 Royal Rumble winner, Intercontinental Champion, and World Tag Team Champion. So good for him. Like I said, a solid piece. This is what you love about the Jakks Classic Superstars. This just pops off the shelf. Love, love, love that. But wait, there's more. We have a twist. Yes, a twist. I don't know. Some of you guys may remember this. Some of you guys may have totally forgotten about this. But here's Classic Series 15 Shawn Michaels as well. Same figure, missing the entrance getup. I'm not exactly sure if this was a straight up error or a planned variant, but everything is the same, even down to his 1965 debut. But basically, they were. This one just doesn't have the entrance gear. Much cheaper figure to produce, I am very much sure. Now, it's been a long time. I am not sure which one is more rare. I gotta think this one is rare. I feel like this is a running change or an error or something along them lines, where this is the one that was supposed to be as shown on the back. So this one's probably a little rarer. Now, if you had to choose and you don't care about money or collectability, and like I said, I don't know which one's worth more, or if it's worth more at all. Maybe this one's worth less. Theoretically, it probably should be. It doesn't have the entrance gear. But we all know how things like that go. But this is the one you really want if you're only picking one of these. But I always thought this was really cool, and I had to have it because it was totally different in the package. Normally, like we've talked in the past, you know, Bob Orton has Ace on the side of his boots on some and no Ace on the other. That's not a big enough difference to make that a different figure to me. That's just kind of a running change or a missed paint or whatever. This, to me, is a totally different figure. It doesn't have the entrance gear, so it displays totally different in the package. It's totally different. I count it as a separate figure. You guys tell me in the comments. I think I'm right. I think these count as separate figures, even though they are the same. I don't know. That's just how my mind works on this. Very similar to the Ultimate Warrior we saw back a couple sets ago with the backwards. Same figure, but backwards in the package. For in the package, it makes a difference to me. And this one, I guess, even more so, because out of the package, they are the same figure, except one has entrance gear, one doesn't. Where the Warrior, both of them out of the package, exact same figure. But something neat here, and I almost forgot about it when I was pulling Classic 15. It just, right before I was getting ready to film, I said, oh, wait a minute. I forgot about that one Shawn. So I'm glad I remembered to put that in here. So there you go. Classic 15 Shawn Michaels. You tell me which one you prefer. It's got to be this one, doesn't it? Don't we all prefer to get this one if we're only getting one? I don't know. Let's move on to the next one. All right, next in the line, we've got Lex Luger. Now, when I think of Lex Luger, this is the Lex Luger I think of. Maybe it's my age, but I think of WCW Lex Luger before he went to WWF. Narcissist, you know, All-American Lex Luger. Maybe some of you, that's who you think of when you think of Lex Luger first. This is what I think. Just the black tights, you know, young muscle-up guy. That's my Lex Luger in my head when I think of it. So I'm glad I have this one in the line. We did get further Lex Lugers in the line, and we'll get to those in the 2-packs and the Deluxe Classics as well. But I think for the total Classic line, this is the one I feel should be in there. So there it is. But it's a basic, very plain figure. You can definitely save some money on this one because there was not a lot of accessories, not a lot of anything with it. I always had a little issue with the head sculpt, head scan, whatever you want to call it on this one, Lex Luger. He looks like an elf or something. I don't know. There's something about him. He just doesn't look right to me. There's something missing. I don't know if I'm just not used to the mullet. I mean, I think of this Lex with shorter hair in the black tights. And then you got the back right there. I'm pretty sure everything stayed the same on the prototype except for his left hand. It was the left open hand on this one, but he came with the closed hand and then a closed fist on here. Like I said, a plain Jane figure. One I remember seeing a couple times at the store, but like I said, most of these, they went pretty quick at this time. Nothing inherently wrong with it. Like I said, pretty plain, and I think this is one where they saved a lot of the funds for the set. to spend on things like the Shawn Michaels entrance jacket and stuff like that. Because basically you get a basic body with a different head on it. And that's your Lex Luger. So there you go. There's Lex Luger. Let's look at the next one. All right, next up is a deep cut. Many old school fans know Johnny Rodz, but even people that grew up my age probably didn't know Johnny Rodz. I'd heard the name for many years. I'd seen him in some of the old PWI magazines I got back in the day. Most people know him as a trainer these days, I guess. That's where a lot of people think. I know he trained a lot of people in the Northeast. A lot of heavy hitter Hall of Famers even. So Johnny Rodz is a pretty famous character. Toyetic, probably not. Somebody that's going to get a Mattel one day, probably not. I think this is probably it for Johnny Rodz. He may have had one of those those OSF TM bloody variant figures, whatever those are called. For some reason, I think there might have been a Johnny Rodz. I'm probably wrong. I'm probably just imagining that. But this could be his only figure ever and probably will stay that way, I can imagine. But there he is, another very plain figure. He's got green tights, which sets him different. But a good head scan. He looks just like him. I have no complaints there. One little known fact, he does come with this blue chair. And this blue chair was very key to him, because when he would train his students, and he trained a lot of ECW guys, I believe, if my memory hits me right, and he taught them the ways of swinging a steel chair. You know, some forget that Johnny was in the back playing a game of poker. I think it was with Andre the Giant way back in the day. He was getting mad about the thing, and he picked up his chair and he actually swung it and hit Andre in the back, and Andre no-sold it, just didn't pay attention to any of it. But a lot of people credit Johnny Rodz with this very blue chair of introducing hitting people with steel chairs into wrestling. So there's a little known fact. I could be totally wrong on that, but maybe I'm right. But there's Johnny Rodz right here. Got a name on the side. Other side. There you go. I believe this was also limited, not a limited edition, but not in every case. This might have been every other case with the LJN figure. One way or the other, I didn't see this one hanging around long, and normally it probably would if it was in every single case. That's the way I remember that. Debuted in 1971, so he started 6 years after that old man Shawn Michaels that started in 1965. Weight 230 pounds, height 5'8", finishing move the thrust kick. Titles, WWE Hall of Fame inductee. Pretty straight on from his prototype on the back. No changes. Not a terrible figure. Really good likeness on him. Just for, the reasons mentioned, I think just probably not one of the most popular in the line. I'm sure a lot of you guys would agree with me. But if you don't, let me know in the comments. Let's move on to the next one. All right, next up, we get one that gets bagged on a lot. A lot of people hate this figure. A lot of people think this is the most undeserved classic superstar figure of all time. And that is David Tank Abbott, UFC legend, if you ask me. So I'm of the age that grew up with UFC #1. That was such a game changer. I absolutely loved UFC from the invention of UFC. And then going back and getting Pancrase tapes from Japan, falling in love with Boss Rutan and Ken Shamrock, the Gracie, and the Tank Abbotts, all the old school guys. That's my wheelhouse for UFC back in the day. All the way up till like 2010 or 11 when it started to be on every single weekend. I just couldn't keep track like I wanted to. I really feel that hurt the sport a lot. But anyways, Tank Abbott, a lot of people don't like him in this line. We all know he had a little run in WCW. I absolutely love Tank Abbott. I was so stoked to get this. I was probably the only one doing backflips and really excited. We got a Ken Shamrock in the classic lineup. It was a great way to get a UFC guy. And Jakks had the UFC license back in the day, but they never made a Tank Abbott figure. So this was kind of a stand-in that worked alongside it. But I love this Tank Abbott. I have this loose. I have this with the Jakks classic Ken Shamrock loose. I have the old school UFC cage from Jakks. They're displayed together in there. But so many great Tank moments from when he tried to throw a guy over the top of the cage. All of his trash talk, his big, right hand. He was just a barroom brawler. Brought that wrestling personality into the UFC. And then brought it into WCW, and that was what it was. And that was it. You know, he doesn't have the greatest win-loss record in MMA, as outside after a while he's pretty one-dimensional and people figured him out. But if you like just fisticuff barroom brawls, you got to go back and watch some of those UFCs with Tank. Like I said, when he threw the guy outside the cage, was trying to chuck him over the top, awesome. Absolutely loved it. And I love Tank. So there it is. Great head scan on him, even the skinny legs. I love the beard. Came with the barbell and a chair. I mean, he drank like a fish sitting in his chair, and then he would just lift barbells all the time. He'd just be lifting weights, getting those punching hands ready to go. You know, he skipped a lot of leg days, as you guys can see, but he had that chair, he had that dumbbell, he had a can of beer. He was ready to go, ready to throw down at a moment's notice. He wasn't scared of anybody. He was Kimbo before Kimbo. And then we know what happened when Kimbo and him squared up, but there it is. There's Tank. There he is on the side. There's the back. I know a lot of people, I mean, tell me in the comments. I'm sure a lot of you guys think this is a total wasted spot in the classic line, and I could see that. I could see where people could say, hey, this isn't Classic Superstars. But for me being a Tank fan, I'm glad this is in here. I give it a total pass, but a lot of, people are the exact opposite of me. Get this out of here. Why is this here? Debuted in 1995, 250 pounds, 6 feet tall, finishing move, knockout punch. And pretty much the same exact thing we saw in the back. But, you know, Jakks and their head scans are just awesome. They did so many that are so good, and I say better than Mattel and even Jazzwares today. I love that head scan. Look at that Tank. If you know Tank, that's Tank shrunk down in plastic form. Just a beautiful figure. And like I've said many a times, very happy to have this in the line. All right, there's Tank. Let's move on to the next one. All right, here is another deep cut, but one I absolutely love. I love face-painted wrestlers. I love big wrestlers. And I also got a soft spot for cowboy wrestlers. I love Terry Funk and his cowboy getup, Dory Funk, even Barry Windham, the Widowmaker, all that stuff. I just love it. The new Black Jakks, I love that. But Outlaw Ron Bass, a deep cut for maybe some of you guys. Some of you guys probably know Outlaw Ron Bass, but I'm sure he's kind of one that's been forgotten in time. My first recollection, and really the only thing I really remember of Outlaw Ron Bass, I know he toured the territories and he was in Texas. He was all over the place. But his biggest achievement for me, or biggest notoriety, was as a little kid, seeing him taking a spur and carving up Brutus Beefcake's face. And I remember on Superstars, they had the big X over it, and you're like trying to look around the X like you could look around your TV. You're like, what the heck is this? It's in black and white. It was shocking for a little, 6, 7-year-old Kyle, whatever I was at the time. That's my most fond memory of Outlaw Ron Bass. I'm sure a lot of you guys probably share that same memory if you're of a certain age around my area. But I love this figure. This is another deep cut. I didn't see this one hang around very long, but just great. You love the boots. They come with the hat, cowbell, or not a cowbell, just a bull rope. But a great, great figure. I mean, I absolutely love this figure. I think this is one of the biggest sleepers of the entire line. Obviously, Outlaw Ron Bass isn't super popular. Not one people talk about a lot, but just the look of this one is great. There's the name on the side. I mean, this is we're digging through this is a lot more heavy hitter of a lineup to me than I remember it being. Some deep cut guys in here, but that's what I love about the Classics line. We're getting people that we never got and we'll probably never get again, delving in that deep. Think of what we get from Mattel right now. We rarely get deep cuts. I mean, we got Freddie Blassie. That is like not deep cut at all, but it feels like a deep cut from Mattel. Superstar Billy Graham, Don Morocco. Those aren't deep cuts. They feel like it is because what we've been trained to via Mattel. Outlaw Ron Bass is a deep cut, and I understand more than a lot of people. It's a game of making money. If they could pump out, Roman Reigns in every single series and it made them tons of money, they would put him in every single series. They mix it up a little bit. Unfortunately, an Outlaw Ron Bass would be a heavy peg warmer. It's just the state of things until they figure out a different distribution model where maybe Mattel does a pre-order system like we see Super 7. Hey, you got a 6-week window, and we're going to make to how many are made and pre-ordered, that's what we're going to make. I wish Mattel could do something like that. I think the time frame would be cut in half based on a Super 7 schedule because Mattel is so much bigger and can operate faster. I don't know. Getting off on a rant there. There's the picture on the side. Now, look at that head scan on the back. You can see it better on the picture. He's got the Raleigh fingers. mustache. The Oakland A's legend, Raleigh Fingers. We all know him. We all love him. We're all A's fans. Come on. We all love the A's. But I love the Raleigh finger. That's attention to detail. My only gripe, there's only one gripe I have of this figure. He's got the Jakks looking down at his feet disease. Sometimes they did that. They packaged those guys, they're looking straight down. I wish they were looking straight ahead. You can get a better look at the figure. It looks better mint on card. But like I said a few times, absolutely love this figure. A deep, deep cut. And this is part of the reason we love Jakks Class Superstars so much. So there it is. The Outlaw Ron Bass. All right, next we'll take a little break from the traditional ones to the LJN inspired. You know, we talked about the Stone Cold Steve Austin LJN one in the last series. Well, in this series, you got The Rock. So there you go right here. We did a long form video on all these. Look back in the channel, search for it in the Classic Superstars folder. It's in there where we talk about all these guys. Got the pretty blue. I really would have preferred to keep the black like they originally did with the Stone Cold. It was going to be all black. Then there was a running change. They made the blue, which is a beautiful homage to the LJN, but it doesn't really display correctly with the other ones. This is the only blue in the whole set. I guess it frames these out differently, but I would just like to have uniformity across the board. But there he is on the side. And the back, of course. So let's see. The Rock debuted 1995, 275 pounds, 6'5". Finishing move, the rock bottom and the people's elbow. Titles, undisputed WWE Champion, WCW Champion, which a lot of people forget. World Tag Team Champion, Intercontinental Champion. Favorite quote, if you smell what the Rock is cooking. So there you go, The Rock. Nothing's changed on the back from the prototype. This is one of the heavier ones of these. As some of you guys that follow my other videos, my weekly purchases where I go through my purchases of the week, if you're not watching those, what are you doing? Subscribe to the channel, watch those videos too. But I've been buying these. I've decided, you know what, I have a LJN collection, I got a WCW OSFTM collection. These scale very good with the OSFTM WCW figures, basically in the same scale. I said, you know what, I'm going to get a loose set of these as well. I've made pretty big strides in that. I'm just missing a few of them, and this Rock is one I do have loose. One thing I have noticed, they do have that dreaded Jakks sticky disease, a lot of these, but the Rock does not. He's the only one, and the HBK are the only two I've come across that don't have that sticky disease. We've talked before, if you got sticky figures, one thing that works most of the time is you get clear packaging tape, wrap the figure in that, and then take it off. It counteracts. I've got a video on that as well, so check that out if you haven't. But the Rock isn't that way. And this Rock is a heavy one. Compared to the other ones, it's a much heavier figure. Something about the mold, something they used. But there it is, the Rock. Not my favorite. Wasn't a really big fan of these in the line, like I said earlier. But it is what it is. If you're going to make these, the Rock makes sense. Stone Cold makes sense. We're going to see that theme continue with a lot of heavy hitters in this style as we go on the videos. So there it is, the LJN-inspired Rock. All right, next up, we've got Tully Blanchard, another awesome figure. Soft goods on this one. You know, I love the soft good robes. Very, very cool to get this Tully. We got a couple other Tullys in the classic line, but a truly deserved, a pioneer, one of the four horsemen, of course. But here is Tully Blanchard up close and personal. Look at that awesome robe. I just love the detail and the time and money they spent on making things like that. Side name. Picture on the side. Of course, you know, we got the Classic Superstars 15. We haven't pointed that out this time. Packaging else is the same. There he is on the back. Let's take a look at that prototype. Looks pretty much straight on. You know, I don't think I've ever seen this Tully without the robe on. On here on the back, he's got a little bit of chest hair, a lot of chest hair on the front on this one. Painted on chest hair. Debuted 1975, 239 pounds, 5'11". Finishing move, the pile driver. One of the best pile drivers, too. Titles, WWE World Tag Team Champion, NWA United States Champion, NWA Tag Team Champion. This was one of my most wanted back in the day. I absolutely love that early incarnation of the Horseman. I love Tully's work. Watched it as a kid. Absolutely loved it. And I love what he's doing in AEW right now with FTR, the Revival, whatever you want to call him, as a manager. I think that is awesome. I want a modern Tully figure with the gray hair and the, you know, the track jacket or whatever you call them. I love Tully Blanchard, so it is what it is. Great figure. Highly recommend this one. This could be the best Tully Blanchard figure ever. I know Mattel did 2 of them that are so-so, a little bit plain. This one was really dressed up with the addition of this robe. This is early, NWA TV champion, J.J. Dillon, Tully Blanchard. So here you go. That's Tully, a favorite of mine in the line. All right, we're down to the final 2, and we're down to probably my 2 favorite in the entire Series 15 lineup. And the next one is something really special. But this one's special too. They're all special in their own way. Just ask their mom. They'll tell you. Classic 15, Leapin' Lanny Poffo, a.k.a. the Genius. When I look at this figure, I think of the Genius. I don't think of Leapin' Lanny Poffo. I don't know if there was a trademark or something that you couldn't do that. There he is on the side. Now, one note on this figure, many people over the years, as we all know, the Macho Man was never included in the Classic Superstars line. They never could get a deal together. And then Mattel's big coup, when they took over the license, they got the Randy Savage rights to make his figures, and off Mattel went. I really think a lot of Mattel's success that catapulted them to where they are right now is getting Ricky Steamboat and the Macho Man, who Jakks could never get for whatever reason. They got those pretty quick off the bat. That really drew a lot of interest and a lot of eyes to the product, and they had good quality figures, kept it going, and I think they owe a lot of that to those 2 figures. But anyways, a lot of people use this as a custom Macho Man. A lot of these were picked up for that idea. I like this figure a whole lot. The robe is awesome. The hat is a great touch. The Intercontinental title, this I think is from when he was managing Mr. Perfect. But this is a figure we needed. We've never got one of these with Mattel. I believe this is the only Genius figure we ever got. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if there's ever been another Lanny Poffo figure. I think Mattel could do an amazing job with this figure. I'm surprised it hasn't been done. I can't imagine Lanny not wanting another figure out there. Would go great on display with Mr. Perfect. So I do look to somewhere, maybe in the next couple of years, Mattel finally making a Lanny Poffo a Genius. Really is what we want. I don't think anybody really wants the frisbee throwing Lanny Poffo. We want the Genius Lanny Poffo. But like I said, how awesome is that? Just great robe. Just all around great. There's the back. Like I said, a lot of people using him as a Macho Man custom. Debuted 1973. 8 years after Shawn Michaels. Weight 228 pounds. 6 feet tall. Finishing move, the honor roll. I remember him doing the moonsault back in the day. It was pretty cool. Not a lot under here. Doesn't even mention the Genius. Doesn't mention his manager. Doesn't mention him, doing poetry or anything. So there was something had to have been in the lawsuit, or I don't know about a lawsuit, but something in the rights or the trademarks that they couldn't call him the Genius. That's the only thing I can think of. But like I said, very solid. A must-have. I have one loose right now as a placeholder in my Mattel set with my Mr. Perfect. I will replace that whenever the Mattel version comes out, and hopefully in the next year or so. We'll see. Time will tell. We got one left. Let's knock it out. All right, we close Classic Superstars Series 15 with a heavy hitter, a perceived heavy hitter. I don't know. Not the best wrestler, not the most iconic wrestler of all time, but for the place he is in the wrestling world from the 80s, we're talking about Zeus. Obviously from the No Holds Barred movie, also wrestling at SummerSlam and a few other spots. He was a dangerous character as a kid. We're like, holy cow, who is this guy? Later on, we did figure out, hey, he was an actor, all this kind of stuff. But a really cool 80s type thing, No Holds Barred, Zeus coming to life from the big screen into the wrestling ring. I wish Mattel would make a Zeus. We need a Zeus. This is the perfect San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. I'm hoping next year, 2021, we get that. We also see the rise of Mattel making 2-packs again. We're making a Hulk Hogan again. What if we got a Rip and Zeus 2-pack? I think there's money to be made there. I hope they can come to agreements. I can't imagine, Tiny Lester, I think is Zeus's name. I can't imagine him turning down a payday to get a figure. That seems like a pretty easy check I would sign pretty quickly for whatever amount. I mean, hey, give me a case of figures and give me, $10,000, I'll take it. I think we all would. But Zeus is probably one of my most wanted Mattels. I think they could really knock it out of the park, but I was very happy to see Jakks do it. Once again, Jakks ahead of the curve on things, giving us some deep cuts and some really cool things in the Classic Superstars lineup. As you can see, there's Zeus right there. Amazing head scan. Comes with that trusty pipe and chain, back from the no holds barred days. He came out there and he was no holds barred, and those are two no holds barred weapons. There's Zeus. Whenever I hear no holds barred, I always think of my dad as a kid when we'd wrestle around. He'd say it's no holds barred, and that's what it was. It was anything go. My dad, we'd go down, we'd throw down and wrestle. It would be truly no holds barred. Got the Z in the side of his head. Let's see what it says. Debuted 1989. The 80s coming to a close with Zeus. Weight 275 pounds. Height 6'5". Finishing move the bear hug. 1989. What a great year 1989 was. I mean, is there a better year? The Oakland A's World Series champions. I'll never forget it. Zeus. Very, very cool. Like I said, we need this from Mattel. I'm hoping it comes soon. Time will tell. There's a lot of these classic superstars we've never gotten from Mattel, and we probably never will, and it's a shame. But I gotta think Zeus is on the radar somewhere, and I think a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive 2-pack with Rip would be amazing, and I think we'd all sign up for that right now. So there you have it, Jakks Classic Superstars Series 15. A much funner set as we were delving through it and talking about it. I don't know, I really enjoyed this set a lot more than I thought I was gonna. So we'll be back next week. Every Tuesday I'm dropping new Jakks videos. We got so many. We got the singles line. We got the limited edition. We're going to have the rings. We're going to have the belt series. We're going to have the box sets. We're going to have the 2-packs. We're going to have the 3-packs. The 1 of 100. The best ofs. About 9 months from now we'll finish with all these videos. And maybe we'll start something new. We'll have to put our heads together and think, what is our next deep dive series going to be? Do we go through the Mattel Elites? Do we start with Series 1 and all the sub-series and take that on forever? Hey, we could. We got a lot of options. So we'll see when that bridge gets crossed. We'll figure that out. But hopefully you guys liked the video. Hopefully you guys have subscribed to the channel. If not, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to the channel and leave me your comments as always. Did you have trouble finding these? Did you have any of these? Was this a pass for you? What is your favorite one of the set? I gotta believe you agree with me. We need a Zeus in Mattel form. Who would be against that? I don't know anybody that would. But leave that comment there. And then until next time, I'm Kyle. This is Classic Superstar Series 15. See you guys all real soon.